Good morning everyone. This is Kailin Kamikawa. In Japan, there is a saying, the root of the tongue is not dry. The reading is, shi ta no ne mo ka wa ka nu yu kai. The meaning is to say something before or after saying a word. In that sense, shortly after I finish saying it, it is a word used when blaming when saying something contrary to the previous word. This time, I have just discovered the real root of the tongue. South Korean Foreign Minister Chung said on the 19th in connection with the Japanese government's decision to release treated water from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant into the ocean, for investigation by the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, he expressed his intention to request the Japanese side so that Korean experts could also participate. If it is judged that you are following the procedure that meets the IAEA standards, I will not dare to oppose it. Said, the 19th of April 2021-16 to 56, huh? What are you doing now? Did you say that Japan will be inspected by the IAEA from the beginning? What have you been listening to so far? This bouquet is exclamation question mark. This is what it means to, do not close your open mouth, exclamation question mark. What have you been doing to Japan so far? It's a good opportunity, so let's take a look back. 1. In September 2019, immediately after the Japanese government strengthened export control to South Korea in July 2019. At the IAEA General Assembly held in Vienna, South Korea, fear and anxiety are growing all over the world, affecting ecosystems all over the world. I criticized Japan as such. As a political card for strengthening export control, it fueled anti-Japanese sentiment against the backdrop of worsening relations between Japan and South Korea. The issue of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant has begun to be taken up by the international community. 2. Furthermore, without a pause from this general meeting, the ruling party and the Democratic Party of Korea, which support President Moon Jae-in, have released a radioactive contamination map. This map, in which radioactive contamination spreads concentrically from the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant, is ignoring geographical conditions such as mountains and weather conditions such as wind direction. It was far from reality. The ruling party claimed that it was created using data from Japanese citizen groups. Citizens groups argued that there is no such data, but the ruling party did not withdraw. 3. Vank is a cyber-terrorist private organization that uses the Olympic logo without permission. I made a poster with a torchbearer in a protective suit, stick it on the wall of the former Japanese embassy in Seoul, etc. It was carried out by an extremely vicious propaganda that promoted reputational damage. 4. Even after the 2011 Great East Japan earthquake, Japanese products contain radioactivity. The hoax whispers in Korea, not only food products, but also cosmetics, etc., had an impact, and Japanese products tended to be avoided. Import bans on marine products from 8 prefectures, including Fukushima and Miyagi, continue. 5. Korean media and public opinion have relentlessly fueled the danger of treated water. Korea's largest news agency, Yonhap News, will be released on April 13th. Fukushima tritium released into the ocean. Concerns about genetic modification and reproductive function decline. I delivered the article. Causes radiation exposure in the body. Causes damage to the human body such as decreased reproductive function. The radiation of tritium is so weak that even a piece of paper cannot penetrate, only with a description that incites fear. Even if it enters the body, it is immediately excreted. It is safe enough to be released into the natural world on a daily basis from nuclear power stations around the world including South Korea, etc., are not mentioned at all. 6. Also, politicians sent false information about tritium. When the media considered that tritium was detected in a puddle in a nuclear power plant in South Korea, tritium is a dangerous substance that does not exist in nature, said a ruling party lawmaker who is promoting the elimination of nuclear power. Tritium is abundant in nature and it was supposed to be a statement to support the Moon Jae-in administration, which advocates a policy of eliminating nuclear power. A politician who didn't even know this much made an unscientific transmission, fueling an excessive fear of tritium. 7. The South Korean government also has a danger to the safety of neighboring countries and the marine environment, immediately after the release of treated water. He asserted that he was unacceptable. 8. I asked the organizer of the protest rally about tritium. The amount and concentration of contaminated water produced during normal operation of a nuclear facility is different from that of tritium generated in an accident. Not for comparison, was the reply. The Japanese government has announced that it will release the amount and concentration below the international standard. They don't even understand the announcement. 9. Anti-Japanese innocence, due to the problem of treated water? South Korea neglects illegal occupation and treaty violation in front of the Japanese embassy. The public and private sectors are making all-out criticisms of Japan, and Prime Minister Chung Sai-kian said he heated up with historical issues. Will Japan make historical mistakes again? 10. Governor Wang Hiryong of Jeju Island in the south filed a civil and criminal proceeding against the Japanese government in courts in both Japan and South Korea. He was breathtaking to file a lawsuit with the International Court of Justice. 11. The mayor of Ulsan City in southern Korea. If contaminated water is released, radioactive materials are expected to reach Jeju Island in 7 months. Tritium remains in the contaminated water as it is. Cesium and strontium, which are fatal to the human body, also remain. He called for the withdrawal of the release. The Korean media repeatedly reports that the basis for this, reached in 7 months, is created by the Helmholtz Marine Research Institute, Kiel University, Germany in 2012. It is a cesium-137 ocean diffusion model after the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear accident. I read the treatise, but almost all of the radioactive material released off the coast of Fukushima headed east through the Pacific Ocean. It hit the Americas and headed south, this time westward in the Pacific Ocean. During that time, it is naturally diluted and diffused by a large amount of seawater. It was about 5 years later that cesium-137 reached South Korea after going around the Pacific Ocean. Moreover, although it was detectable, it was considered to be a very small amount. On the other hand, 7 months in this model means a small amount of cesium that cannot even be detected by inspection equipment. It's time to go around the Japanese archipelago and come to Korea. Even if it arrives, it is very small, so there is no possibility of health damage. In addition, the Korea Marine Technology Institute conducted a similar simulation in 2013. Radioactive material off Fukushima spread throughout the Pacific Ocean within 6 years. It will reach the Korean coast in 10 years, but the result is extremely small. In fact, when many Korean media reported on the research announcement of the Korea Marine Technology Institute in 2013, while introducing research in Germany, he reported that the effects of radioactive materials off the coast of Fukushima do not reach South Korea. For example, a TV station called Channel A was launched in August 2013. It is an analysis that there is no effect because the amount of reach to South Korea is so small. It is clearly reported. In addition, South Korean news agency News One also said, radioactivity is diluted and the impact is expected to be insignificant. And then, about the result of actually collecting and investigating the seawater near Korea, it was confirmed that the runoff from the Fukushima nuclear power plant did not affect Japan, he reported. The report that radioactive materials off Fukushima do not affect South Korea, there is a completely different moment. Export control will be strengthened by the Japanese government in July 2019. In July 2019, when the Japanese government strengthens export control of semiconductor manufacturing materials for South Korea, an anti-Japanese storm raged in South Korea. In addition to inciting the boycotts of Japanese products, the South Korean government the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant accident was regarded as a weakness of Japan and used as a means of attack. In addition to relentlessly raising issues regarding the ocean release plan on the international stage such as the IAEA, as there is a possibility of radioactive contamination, he said he wouldn't let Korean athletes from the Tokyo Olympics and Paralympics eat Japanese food. I decided to bring Korean ingredients to Japan. Furthermore, regarding the coal ash of thermal power plants that was imported from Japan as a raw material for cement, suddenly strengthened the radiological examination. The Korean media wrote, it has the effect of informing the world of Japan's radiation problems. In August 2019, when such a relentless radioactivity attack was being carried out, Channel A mentioned above reported the news that the contaminated water in Fukushima will affect Jeju Island 7 months later. The story that there is a very small amount and has no effect, that was reported in 2013 has disappeared. Only the part that reaches Korea in 7 months is taken up. There is growing concern from the international community about Fukushima contaminated water, he said. Similar news has been reported by many Korean media, and since this time, of the information that it will reach in 7 months, but it will be traceable and have no effect, information that a small amount has no effect, has come to hide in the shadows. The information that it will arrive in 7 months, has transformed into a symbol of danger. Prime Minister Chung Si-kyu and former Governor Won Hee-ryu, who introduced that they strongly criticized Japan at the beginning, both of them are the ones who have been nominated for the next presidential election. And now, the side effect of politically using the radiation problem to attack Japan is like boomerang, it is piercing Korean society. The press that fueled the crisis of treated water overheated the danger, that the Korean fishery industry will be destroyed in 7 months after its release, is being touted. In such Korean media articles, I can't eat anything from the sea anymore. I don't eat all seaweed such as Korean seaweed, wakame seaweed, and fish. Fisheries resources become unusable due to contaminated water in Japan. There are a lot of comments. A Korean Fishery Trade Association said in a statement issued on April 14. Even if contaminated water does not flow directly into the Korean waters, only public concerns about the possibility of radioactive contamination of marine products, our fisheries are likely to suffer catastrophic damage, screamed. If you continue to report scientifically and calmly based on simulations as in 2013, or, as Professor Chung points out, unless the South Korean government criticizes Japan unscientifically and politically, such reputational damage would not have happened. I can only say that I am strangling myself. I'm sorry for the Korean fishermen, but this is all blamed on Japan. 12. President Moon Jae-in announced on April 14. He instructed relevant departments to actively consider filing a lawsuit with the International Tribunal for the Law of the Sea. As long as the IAEA and the United States support Japan's release into the ocean, there are many views in Korea that the chances of winning are thin. However, he suffered a historic defeat in the latest mayoral elections in Seoul and Busan. As President Moon, whose approval rating is declining and lame duck is progressing, he must have a strong stance toward Japan. The price may be paid by Korean fisheries. 13. A professor at Seoul National University in South Korea related to the decision to release treated water from Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to the ocean. To Japan, which insists on safety, if you say it's so safe, you can make beer out of contaminated water and drink it, he said. Seo Kyun-rul, an emeritus professor at the Department of Nuclear Engineering, Seoul National University, said on the 15th. In an interview with CBS Radio, Kim Yun-young News Show, Finance Minister Taro Aso, 80, said, "Drinking contaminated water does nothing." He gave such an opinion about what he said. He said, if it's so safe, say, eat it. If you say it's so beautiful, use it as drinking water because it's a waste. Japan is a water-scarce nation, so create an artificial lake with contaminated water. If it is beautiful, create an artificial lake with a friendly environment, with contaminated water. We should restore our honor to the negative effects on the international community and morally return it to the international community. Furthermore, Professor Seo uses industrial water, uses agricultural water. Furthermore, why not make Fukushima's specialty beer like Sapporo? I think we should change our mindset. If it's safe, we should accept it. Professor Seo also described contaminated water as completely broken water in which nuclear fuel was dissolved. He pointed out that Fukushima contaminated water basically contains more than 200 species of radioactive material. So, if you include what you have done with a private organization, you can count on it. It is full of hate, hoaxes and fabrications. No, I'm really amazed. This is exactly what Hell Joseon is all about. As was the case with the Korean War, will they kill each other again with their own people? On the spot, he lie to lies, justify himself, and despise Japan. How many times have we seen this figure? There are no two words for a samurai. It is a work that Japanese people with such a spirit cannot understand at all. They have nothing to believe. Lie like exhaling, the Japanese, and people all over the world, Should never forget this word. Don't be fooled by Korean lies. That's all.